Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra Sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. When you're broke, sleep-deprived, and 2 overdue car payments away from homelessness, you'll say yes to just about anything. So when I saw the neon Help Wanted sign flickering outside a half-collapsed motel off Highway 86, I figured it couldn't be worse than my last job at the haunted Krispy Kreme. Wrong. The place is called Highway Haven Motel, which is ironic because it's neither a haven nor anywhere near a highway people willingly drive on. Just a cracked parking lot, flickering bug lights, and a lobby that smells like cigarettes, bleach, and something vaguely pickled. I walked in expecting a manager. There wasn't one. Instead, I found a sticky front desk with a key rack behind it and a yellowed envelope taped to the old rotary phone. Scrawled in red Sharpie, "Welcome night clerk, no application needed. Pay is in cash. Don't lose the ledger. Every room has a rule. Do not break them." I wish I could say that made me turn around and leave. But I had $7 in my wallet, half a tank of gas, and the kind of optimism only desperation brings. So I peeled the envelope off and opened it. Inside, a room key labeled, "Manager's Room. Do not enter." A motel ledger full of guest names and weird stains. A Polaroid photo of the front desk with a caption written in shaky pen. "This is your post. Stay here after midnight. If anyone asks for room 9, say it's under renovation." There was also a list of rooms and handwritten rules next to each. Room 1, always knock 3 times before entering, even if it's empty. Especially if it's empty. Room 3, you'll hear screaming between 2:13 a.m. and 2:16 a.m. Ignore it. Room 6, close the blinds completely. Never look outside after 1 a.m. Room 9, do not check in guests. Room is sealed for a reason. Room 13, if the lights flicker, leave the key on the desk and walk away. Room 17, only rent to guests with exact change. Trust us. Room 22, if someone leaves this room without shoes, burn the sheets. Room 0, you'll know when it opens. Do not speak to the occupant. I figured it was a joke. Some twisted initiation gag from the last employee. Spoiler, it wasn't. The first guest arrived at exactly 10:46 p.m. I hadn't seen any headlights, no sound of a car pulling up. The man just appeared in the lobby, standing by the drink machine with an old leather suitcase and a neck that creaked when he turned to look at me. "Room 1, he rasped. I handed him the key like I wasn't about to pee myself. He took it, nodded once, and left without another word. The lobby clock read 10:47. I blinked, and he was already gone. No footsteps, no door opening. Just gone. Cool, cool, cool. I sat back down and flipped through the ledger. There were names in it, hundreds, but some of them were scratched out with notes like, "Didn't follow curtain protocol. Refund not issued. Guest wandered into room 9, remains unrecoverable. Room 6 blind open at 1:04 a.m. Mild infestation. Sheets replaced." My fingers started to shake a little, and I noticed something I hadn't before, a single hotel bell on the counter. Brass, rusty, engraved with something in Latin I couldn't read. I hadn't touched it, but it rang. Ding. And a new guest walked in. This one was easier on the eyes. Woman in a jean jacket, sunglasses at night, and chewing cherry gum like she'd been doing it since the Cold War. She dropped $40 on the desk and said, "Room 3. I froze. "Says here room 3 screams at 2:13 a.m., I muttered, tapping the rule list. "Yeah," she said. "I know." She snatched the key and left. She didn't ask for a receipt, she didn't need one. Midnight came fast. The fluorescent light above the front desk buzzed like it was mad at me. I sat behind the counter, flipping through an ancient magazine about taxidermy, the only reading material I could find, and counting the minutes to sunrise. Then, at 2:13 a.m., the screaming started. It wasn't just someone yelling. It was the kind of scream that makes your spine feel like it's full of wet gravel. Shrill, endless, and desperate. I clutched the counter like it was an anchor and stared straight ahead. No movement, no guests, just screaming. By 2:16, it stopped. I exhaled. Then the drink machine behind me dispensed a can of Diet Tab. No one touched it. No one ordered it. And as far as I knew, they stopped making that stuff in the 80s. I decided to not drink it. At 3 a.m., the Polaroid camera under the desk whirred to life. It spat out a fresh picture, this time of me at the desk, with a blurred shadow behind me that didn't match anything in the room. And taped to it, in handwriting that wasn't mine, were 3 new words. Welcome to hell. When I woke up the next afternoon, I half convinced myself it was all a stress dream. The Polaroid, the screaming, the can of cursed soda. But then I found the picture still under the desk. My face. That shadow. And a fresh note had been slid under the front door of the lobby. Night clerk. Remember the rules. Room 6 has been rented. Blinds must remain closed. If you looked outside after 1 a.m., do not interact with them. No signature, no explanation. Just a greasy thumbprint in the corner and a faint smell like burnt hair. I made the mistake of checking the guest ledger. A Mr. M. Waters had signed in around 11:40 p.m. I never saw him, but the note said room 6 was rented. That was the first time I considered quitting. But like a dumb horror movie extra with bills to pay, I stayed. I figured if I just followed the rules, maybe I could float through the weirdness. That night I prepped like I was going into combat. Double brewed coffee, pocket knife, and a flashlight I found in the mop closet, where something definitely scurried out when I opened it. I also put tape over the lobby's security monitor because I swear I saw room 9's door twitch on the feed. At 12:58 a.m., I did a quick walkthrough. The halls were dead silent, except room 6 had its light on. A pale yellow glow pulsed under the door like a heartbeat. I didn't get close. I just nodded at it and said, "Hope the blinds are down, buddy," and walked away. Back at the desk, I made the mistake of sitting in the squeaky swivel chair. It made this high-pitched ee sound every time I shifted. Somewhere between 1 a.m. and 1 a.m., I reached to check my watch. That's when I felt it. Pressure. Like the building suddenly had weight, pushing down on itself. My ears popped. The air changed. Sharp, cold, and electric, like the sky before lightning. And I swear I heard breathing. Not close. Not far. Just there. Then came the knock. 3 slow taps. Not at the lobby door. Not at room 6. But at the window. I hadn't noticed it before. The big, dust-covered front window had always looked out onto the parking lot. But tonight, it was fogged. The kind of fog that feels deliberate. Another knock. Tap. 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 My curiosity, unfortunately, has never once in its life done me a favor. I stood up, moved slowly toward the window. The glass looked strange, not just fogged, but shimmering, like something oily floated across it. I reached up and wiped a circle with my sleeve. Never do this. Outside, the parking lot was gone. The cars, the streetlight, the cracked pavement, all of it replaced with a flat, empty cornfield under a green sky, the kind of green that doesn't belong on Earth. There were figures standing in the field, tall, still ones. 10 or 15 of them, in what looked like motel robes, all facing the building. I couldn't see their faces, but I could feel them looking at me. I stepped back. The window was cold now. So cold it steamed when I exhaled near it. Then one of the figures raised its hand. The moment it did, a different window shattered. I nearly threw myself over the desk. My flashlight flickered. The bell on the counter rang twice, fast. And the phone, that old rotary thing that hadn't rung once in my time here, spun on its own and let out a wet, gurgling buzz like a drowning dial tone. The Polaroid camera ejected another photo. This one showed room 6's door, wide open, and something crawling on the ceiling. Long arms, backward knees, and a mouth stretched so wide it nearly tore off its own face. I ran to the breaker box and hit the emergency lockdown button. No idea what it did, but it slammed every door shut in the place with a metallic clang and triggered thick shutters over the lobby windows. The breathing stopped. The cold went away, and the green sky vanished. I sat on the floor behind the desk for a solid hour, clutching the cursed mop like a baseball bat, listening to silence settle back in like dust. At 3:33 a.m., another note slid under the front door. You looked outside. They saw you. Do not enter. Room 6 again. If the figure appears in the mirror, do not blink. There was a cherry cough drop taped to the note. I don't know why that made it worse. If you've never spent the hours between 3 and 5 a.m. inside a haunted motel, I don't recommend it. It's a weird limbo. Too late to leave, too early to run. Time feels like it's running backwards, and your mind starts doing things like wondering if you ever really had a life before this job, counting how many times the drink machine has dispensed soda no one ordered, 6, debating whether ghosts can file W-2s. I had just started to calm down when the guest for room 13 showed up. He walked in backwards. I mean literally backwards, shoulders first, shuffling in like someone had him on rewind. He wore a brown corduroy jacket with elbow patches, and his shoes made no sound at all on the tile. Didn't speak. Didn't look at me. Just set down an envelope labeled Room 13 and placed a folded $10 bill next to it. I handed him the key. Not because I wanted to, but because my body apparently likes making decisions without my permission now. He took the key, walked out the same way he came in, and the minute he left, all the lobby lights flickered once, then twice, then a third time, slower, like the motel was holding its breath. I grabbed the rule sheet and reread the entry. Room 13. If the lights flicker, leave the key on the desk and walk away. But I already handed it off. And then I realized, the rule doesn't say what happens if the guest takes the key, only if you keep it. So, maybe I'm safe? Yeah. I thought that too, until 1:17 a.m. The front desk phone rang. It rang. First time that thing had made a normal noise. I picked it up and said something brilliant like, "Hello, this is me, please don't kill me." Static. Then a voice, low, male, and chewing on something wet. Room 13. Lights are out. He's moving. Click. I checked the security monitor for room 13. Nothing but black screen. But there was one other camera, labeled Corridor B, that showed something else. A hallway, bare walls, one flickering light, and a shape moving down it. Not walking. Twitching. A stutter step kinda crawl, as if someone was being pulled forward while fighting to move backward. The lights buzzed louder. The flicker got faster. I watched, frozen, as the hallway camera zoomed itself in, no buttons pressed, closer and closer until the screen filled with a pale, featureless face right up against the lens. The screen went black, and the lobby lights went out. I was in total darkness. No moonlight, no emergency exit lights, just absolute void. Until something hissed right in my ear. "You shouldn't have handed over the key." I dove under the desk, and then, out of nowhere, one single fluorescent tube blinked back to life behind the counter. Pale, blue-white. Just enough to cast long shadows. I looked up. Room 13's guest was standing at the glass, staring inside. Still backwards. But his reflection? His reflection was pressed against the glass, face first, eyes wide open, mouth stretching into a long, unnatural grin that didn't match his real face at all. The bell rang once. Then the power surged. Every single light in the building came back at once. A flash of blinding white. It lasted maybe a half second. But in that flash, I saw the inside of room 13. I wasn't anywhere near it. Didn't touch a monitor. Didn't open the door. But I saw it. The wallpaper was peeling upward, like it was trying to escape the room. Dozens of claw marks slashed across the mattress. And the guest? He wasn't alone. There were 3 shadows in the room that didn't have bodies, flickering around him, circling, whispering something in a language I've never heard but still understood as a threat. When the light settled, the phone rang again. I answered. This time, the voice was my own. You should have walked away. Click. I checked the ledger again. Mr. Backwards? No entry? No handwriting? No trace? Except... Room 13's key was somehow back on the desk, dripping wet, wrapped in a strip of paper towel with the words, "If he returns, leave the motel." Not the room. The whole thing. I made myself a cup of coffee, added 4 sugar packets, and cried into it for 10 full minutes. The mop closet door creaked open on its own, and the cursed mop slid halfway out like it was trying to offer emotional support. Thanks, mop. By 4 a.m., the lights had stopped flickering. The hallway camera was functional again, but showed nothing except a now empty corridor with scratch marks on the floor leading back toward room 13. Oh, and one other thing. Every room number sign in that hallway had changed. Each of them now read 13, even room 9. And room 9's door was cracked open, just a little. If room 13 rattled me, room 9 broke me. It was 4:06 a.m. when I saw it on the monitor, just barely ajar. The kind of open that screams, "Don't push me," but also somehow dares you to. For 2 nights, the rule had been clear. Room 9, do not check and guess. Room is sealed for a reason. So why the hell was it open now? I stared at the camera feed like it was going to explain itself. Room 9's hallway had always been dark, shadowy, a dead zone between rooms that people never requested. Now the feed flickered with static, not completely out, but glitching, like whatever was inside room 9 didn't like being seen. I checked the guest ledger. No one had signed for room 9. Still, the rule list now had a fresh line under it scrawled in different handwriting. If room 9 opens on its own, evacuate the lobby. Do not speak. Do not pray. Do not make eye contact with the bell. Okay, I hadn't planned on doing any of those things. But my body disagreed. Because I stood up and walked right out of the lobby like I was sleepwalking, like something wanted me to see room 9. The hallway leading to it was colder than the rest of the motel. Not broken AC cold. I'm talking Arctic morgue energy. Every light bulb overhead was humming, but none of them were on. They just hummed louder the closer I got. I passed room 7, room 8, then room 9. It shouldn't have been possible, but there was no door. Just an archway now. A doorway without a frame. Blacker than blackout. Not even shadows, just absence. I took 1 step inside. The motel disappeared behind me. There were no walls, no ceiling, just space. Like the room was shaped like a motel room in theory, but didn't bother to actually be one. It smelled like dust, rust, and a memory I'd buried years ago. My dad's funeral. The scent of carnations wilting in church air. There was one thing inside. A man sitting on the bed. Only the bed was made of bones, twisted into coils, bleached and groaning under his weight. And the man? He looked like me, but stretched, hollow-eyed, and gaunt like he'd been starving in here for a decade. He was wearing the same Motel Highway Haven name tag I had. Same shirt, same black eye I got back in high school. He turned toward me and smiled. I thought I finally got out. I couldn't speak. He leaned forward, eyes glowing faint red around the edges. You followed the rules too well. That's how they get you. They reward obedience with promotion. You didn't take the coffee. You didn't blink at the mirror. You kept your back turned to room 3. They like that. He raised his hand. It had an old guest ledger in it, identical to mine. When I started, I thought the mop was just a mop too. I thought room 9 was just a typo. I thought they were just ghosts. He stood now, 7 feet tall, skin stretching at the joints. Something inside him buzzed, like wires in meat. They're not ghosts. Ghosts were people once. These things were never human. He stepped forward. The room began to collapse in reverse. Wallpaper rebuilt itself. Floor tiles snapped into place. The motel reformed around me, and I found myself back at the hallway, and the door to room 9 slammed shut behind me. Hard. So hard it cracked the wall on either side and knocked 3 ceiling tiles loose. A note fluttered to the floor at my feet. Congratulations. Room 9 has accepted you. Management has been notified. At that moment, the front bell rang. Not once, not twice, 7 times. Ding, 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 ding. And every time it rang, one of the room keys on the wall behind the desk fell off its hook and hit the counter. The final one to fall? Room 0. There was no room 0. There was no key for it either. Until now. It looked ancient. Not metal, but carved bone, with a tag made of leather that had rotted around the edges. The number burned into it, a perfect jagged 0. I didn't touch it. I don't even think I could have if I wanted to. My arms were jelly. That's when the mop moved. All on its own, it slid across the floor from the utility closet, dragging a thick black smear like tar behind it. It stopped at my feet and tilted slightly upward like it was pointing toward room 0. The phone rang. Same gurgled tone. I picked it up, shaking. Room 0 is awake now, the voice said. You're almost out of time. Click. And then all the lights went out. Not flickered. Not surged. Just gone. The motel swallowed itself in darkness. The only light came from the key to room 0. It was glowing. Faintly. And it had started beeping. The key to room 0 beeped twice, soft and slow like a dying smoke alarm. Then it pulsed, not with light, but heat. Just holding it made my palm itch, like it was branding something under my skin. The tag attached to it, that rotten strip of leather, started to curl up and sizzle. Whatever room 0 was, it had been waiting a long time. The lobby was still completely dark. No backup lights, no hallway lamps. Nothing but that key glowing faint orange in my hand and the sound of the mop dragging itself back to its closet like it was done helping me for the night. I tried to leave. I swear I tried. I grabbed the front door handle and yanked. Nothing. It was like the whole motel had locked itself from the inside. The key beeped again. This time, louder. I looked at the hook board. Room 0's key didn't have a location. Every other key matched a real room. But room 0's hook? It was nailed straight through an old photograph of the original motel, taken sometime in the 1950s. I yanked the photo down. Behind it was something I wish I hadn't found. A tiny brass plaque, bolted into the wall. It read, "In memory of our first night clerk. He served faithfully until room 0 called." I dropped the key. It hit the counter and didn't bounce. It just stuck there, like it had magnetized to the laminate surface. The second I let go of it, the lobby TV turned on. An old boxy Zenith I didn't even realize was plugged in. It crackled with static, then showed black and white footage of me sitting at the desk, flipping through the ledger. Then it rewound itself, over and over. Same moment, like a loop, like a security tape on repeat. Except in the reflection behind me, in the old mirror on the back wall, the man standing there wasn't me. He was taller, bonier, no eyes, just a mouth stretched in a smile wide enough to rip skin. The caption at the bottom of the screen read, "Current shift, 4 of 7. Replacement approaching." And just like that, the door to room 0 opened, on its own. It was in a place I didn't even know had a door. Behind the vending machine in the hallway that always smelled like burnt oatmeal. I watched it swing inward with an old groaning creak, like the hinges were made of teeth. Inside, nothing. Just darkness that felt thick, like it wasn't air in there. Like it was molasses and smoke and memories that hurt to remember. I should have run, but I didn't. I grabbed the key and walked to room 0, flashlight in one hand, the cursed mop in the other. As soon as I crossed the threshold, the motel vanished behind me. Again. Only this time, I wasn't in some impossible dream room or a glitchy hallway. I was in a long corridor, lit by gas lamps that flickered with blue fire. The walls were lined with doors, dozens of them, but none were numbered. Some were boarded up. Others had names carved into the wood. Not numbers, names. I saw mine. Clerk number 4, 86, Justin. Burned into the grain, fresh. The moment I looked at it, my own door creaked open. Inside, I saw my car, my apartment, my bed, my bills. Every boring, mundane part of my real life, but twisted. The walls were wrong. The clock ticked backward. My cat was sitting on my couch, but it had human eyes. I slammed the door shut. Across from it, another door opened. This one wasn't mine. It was the old manager's. Inside, I saw a man in a maroon suit, slouched at the front desk, surrounded by clocks that had no hands and phones that rang forever. His name tag simply said, "You." He looked up. His face wasn't a face anymore. It was a blank slab of skin where a head used to be. He spoke without a mouth. "The motel isn't haunted," the voice said. "It's alive. It remembers." Then all the doors slammed shut at once. The corridor collapsed in on itself, and I was yanked backward like gravity reversed, flung back through room 0's entrance and onto the motel hallway floor. I sat up, wheezing, and looked at the clock above the front desk. 5:59 a.m. Then the lights came on. Normal, warm, uncursed. Birds started chirping outside. The sun peeked the road through the motel blinds like nothing had happened. The Polaroid camera spat out one last photo. Me, holding the mop, smiling. But it wasn't me smiling. It was the guy from the video, the replacement. And he had no eyes. Taped to the back of the picture. Shift 5 of 7 starts tonight. Finish strong. I didn't sleep after room 0. I tried. I really did. I even locked myself in the utility closet next to the laundry room. It felt like the only place the motel hadn't fully claimed yet. But every time I started to drift off, the mop would creak in its corner like it was shifting its weight. At one point, I swear it whispered, 5, 6. So I sat in a plastic chair next to the dryer and stared at the wall for 10 hours. When night fell, I found a new note on the desk. Laundry fire pit has been refilled. Tonight's burn begins at 3:30 a.m. sharp. Room 22 is occupied. You know what to do. M. There was no M in the staff records. In fact, there were no staff records at all. Room 22's rule had been simple but disturbing. If someone leaves this room without shoes, burn the sheets. I figured it was a hygiene thing, or maybe a weird pest protocol. But after room 0, I no longer assumed anything at this place had rational origins. Around 11:30 p.m., room 22's door slammed shut on its own. I hadn't seen anyone check in. The cameras didn't catch anything. 1 second it was empty. The next, the room key was gone from the rack and the TV in the lobby showed static labeled, "Guest in processing." Processing? At midnight, the phone rang once and stopped. When I picked it up, I heard a wet squelching sound like someone chewing gum through a straw. Then, the lobby bell dinged. A pair of shoes had appeared on the carpet. Just sitting there. Children's sneakers, tied neatly, facing away from the front door, like someone had left them mid-step and disappeared. I checked the camera again. The hallway outside room 22 was glitching, all warped and overexposed like it had been filmed on cursed VHS tape. Something was standing in front of the room, but the feed wouldn't focus. All I could make out were bare feet. At 2 a.m., the front door to the motel opened without a sound, and the guest walked in. I didn't see her arrive, didn't hear a car, She just appeared, pale, soaked to the skin like she'd crawled out of a river. She walked straight to the counter, dripping water the whole way, and handed me her room key. She didn't speak. Her eyes were blank. Her mouth was moving like she was trying to whisper something, but no sound came out. And she had no shoes. I looked down. Her feet weren't normal. They were wrong. The toes were fused. Her heels didn't match. The soles looked mirrored, like she'd stepped through something and got reassembled upside down. I took the key and backed away slowly. She turned and left without another glance, water still trailing behind her. And I did what the rule said. I went to room 22 with rubber gloves and the industrial laundry bin. I didn't go in, just leaned in with one hand and snatched the sheets off the bed. They were wet, not soaked in water, but some kind of thick black-red fluid that stank like old pennies and ammonia. I dumped them in the bin, shut the lid, and wheeled it out back to the concrete fire pit that had somehow never appeared in daylight. At 3:30 a.m. on the dot, the flames lit themselves. No matches, no gas, just whoosh, like the pit had a soul and it was hungry. I dropped the sheets in. They didn't burn. They screamed. Not loud, not sharp, just long, distant howling like they were being torn from inside a sealed tomb. The flames shifted color, orange to green to pure white. Then the air behind me turned cold. I turned and saw the guest from room 22 standing 20 feet away in the parking lot, still barefoot, still dripping, but now smiling. Her mouth opened, and she whispered, "Thank you." Then she vanished, just blinked out of existence like a video glitch. The fire died instantly. All that was left in the pit were her shoes, the same ones I'd found earlier. I didn't touch them. I went back inside and collapsed in the lobby chair. The mop was waiting for me by the counter. There was a note taped to it this time. "Final shift approaches. The replacement window opens soon. Do not resist." The Polaroid camera coughed out another picture. The front desk. Me. Eyes closed. Behind me, standing in the doorway to room 0, was a tall, eyeless figure in my exact uniform. Taped to the back of the photo. "Shift 6 of 7 complete. Room 3 is expecting you. Room 3. The one that screams every night from 2:13 to 2:16 a.m. I never thought I'd have to go inside it." I once thought the worst sound a person could hear at 2 a.m. was a smoke alarm chirping every 30 seconds. That was before room 3 started screaming. Every single night between 2:13 and 2:16 a.m. without fail, room 3 wailed like something was being torn apart inside, like grief and fire and teeth all compressed into one shriek. The rule was simple. You'll hear screaming. Ignore it. And I did. Every night for 6 nights, I sat at the front desk, white-knuckling the counter, while the sound bled through the walls like smoke. But now the note taped to the front desk said, "Room 3 must be cleaned tonight. You'll need the mop." There was something else written on the back in messy block letters. "Do not listen too long. It knows who listens." The mop was already waiting by the hallway. God help me, it was wet. Not with water, with something thicker. I didn't ask. At 2:05 a.m., the lights in the lobby dimmed. At 2:10, they began to pulse, one by one, in time with my heartbeat. And at exactly 2:13 a.m., the screaming started. Only this time, it didn't come from behind the door. It came from inside my head. The moment I stepped into the hallway toward room 3, I felt it press against me, like the air itself was vibrating. Room 3's door was already cracked open. Of course it was. I took a breath, gripped the mop like a weapon, and pushed the door the rest of the way open. The screaming stopped, just cut off like someone had hit mute. Inside, the room was pitch black. No bedside lamp, no bathroom light, nothing. But the mop knew where to go. It dragged me toward the center of the room where the bed was. And on the bed, there was a body. Mine. Not dead, not moving. Just waiting. Eyes open. staring up at the ceiling. I backed away, but the door slammed shut behind me and locked with a click. Then the whispers started. Dozens of voices layered over one another like a choir of regrets. He heard us. He listened too long. He looked into room 9. He carried the key to room 0. He burned the sheets. I pressed my hands over my ears, but the voices kept bleeding through, curling into my thoughts like smoke through floorboards. The room shifted. The walls stretched. The window bent inward as if something massive on the other side was pressing its face to the glass. I crawled to the door, tried the knob. Locked, of course. I slammed my fist against it, shouted for help, and then the bed creaked. I turned back around. My body, the copy of me, was now sitting upright, tilting its head like a curious dog. It smiled. I didn't. Then it opened its mouth. "Do you want out?" I didn't answer. It stood up, same uniform, same name tag, same tired eyes. Except his were glowing faintly from the inside, like the filament of a dying light bulb. He walked toward me. "There's always been a night clerk," he said. "One for each cycle." I backed into the corner. 7 rooms, 7 shifts, 7 rules broken. You're ready. "No," I whispered. I didn't break them. The lights in the room snapped on. He was gone. I was alone. The screaming started again, this time inside the room, from under the bed. I grabbed the mop, dropped to my knees, and yanked up the comforter. There was a hole, a crawl space, a dark opening under the bed, pulsing with wet, red light. Because of course there was. And I did the dumbest thing I've done all week. I crawled into it. The tunnel was warm, breathing. The walls were soft and wet. I slithered forward like a worm in a throat until I fell, dropped, through the floor. I landed behind the front desk. Daylight. The sun was up. The bell was silent. Room 3 was closed. The mop was dry and back in the closet. Had I dreamed it? I still had the note in my hand. Still had the Polaroid tucked into my shirt pocket. But something was different. The key rack behind the desk was empty. All of it, gone. Except for one thing, a brand new key, fresh brass, shiny. And on the tag, instead of a room number, it said, "Manager." There was a note taped beneath it. "Your shift is over. It's your motel now. Don't hire anyone else. They'll come. Just ring the bell." I walked outside into the blinding morning sun. The motel parking lot was full, car doors opening, people stepping out, all of them looking lost. And I knew, just knew, that I was supposed to check them in, one by one. I walked back inside, sat at the desk, and pulled open the ledger. A fresh page. Top line. CLERK number 487. "Welcome, Justin." The bell rang. Once. And the door to room 3 opened again, for someone new.